A very good morning to everyone. We would like to begin today's program by lighting of the lamp, and for this purpose, I would like to request Mr. P.W. Rinzing, Secretary of Namgyal Institute of Tibetology. Next, I would like to request the Secretary of Namgyal Institute of Tibetology, Mr. P.W. Rinzing, to kindly deliver his welcome address for today's program.
Good morning. Teshtori to everyone. Okay. So anyways, that we have a very important program here today, and I must say that this program event will give a very, very benefit studies or whatever it may be to all the students and the interested individuals, students. Now it's my privilege to welcome our senior HOD, then the Kembu and Nganjo Gyamba religious from the Sheda, the teachers from the school, the students, my sorority students. So it's really my privilege to be here. Actually, I was yesterday out of station. I got back at around 1 o'clock in the night. On the way back, there was a landslide just in front of my vehicle, because of which I had to take my diversion again from the long route. So it was a huge and long journey that I had yesterday night. So just because of this program only, I could manage to come back, reach home at around 1 o'clock in the evening. So anyways, like Mr. Jamyang, who is a very good friend of mine since long, and he was in government service on the cultural department for quite a long time. He resigned from the service in 2200, something like that, as a joint secretary of the department. Until then, he had been contributing a lot on his profession. So it was my privilege to welcome him here in the institute, because he is very much concerned and still dedicated to this profession. I'm sure that all of you will take advantage. The program is for today and tomorrow. And our program is that he will show his demonstration how the calligraphy is being written. And anyone later on wants to learn also, I think he will welcome all of you as how to go it. And he has learned this calligraphy tradition under the main guru, Harampa Geshe Lobsang Techenla, one of the most respected Buddhist teachers of our time in Simla, Himachal Pradesh. Throughout his career, he practiced the art of handwriting in defiance to the computerizations and always engaged in creative work, both in visual as well as performing arts. In 2010, he produced the longest calligraphy scroll, which was 165 meters, which contains 65,000 Tibetan characters written in different calligraphy style. So please give him a big hand. Congratulations, Jamyang. He has exhibited his collection in USA, Canada, Thailand, Indonesia, Bhutan, Mongolia, Chengdu, China, and Sri Lanka. And today he is here with us. Currently, he runs a free Dharma center in Rabangla called Hatsun Dharma Center, where he has dedicated again his life for the upliftment of Buddhism. So we are fortunate to have him here today, and it's my privilege to welcome all of you. And I'm sure that you all will enjoy and participate to this program. So may I request Mr. Jamyang to take some time to speak his experience and his whatever he has, his advices to all of us. So I welcome Mr. Jamyang on the dais. Thank you so much.
Tashidile, Kusangbu, Namaste. Most respected Secretary Rinpoche, my friend, my Sangha friends here, Lovins, Kempos, the Tibetan welfare officer, and Amjila, and my friend Sring Wangchu in front, and Negisap here, all of you very close to me, and my dear students. First of all, I'm very grateful to the Namgyal Institute of Tibetology for inviting me and share my experience. When initially I thought coming to this institute, which is started by Chogyal Palden, Thondup Namgyal, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama, is a very prestigious institution, so I thought I must give a written presentation. And as I sat down to write, the artist in me tells me, no, you are not a scholar. You're not going to give a written presentation. You are only going to speak from your heart what you feel about this calligraphy, and that will be of some interest to the listener. So here I'm trying to speak from the heart. Doing this, since English is not my mother language, I have an advantage that even if I make mistake, you will forgive me. As I said, I'm very honored to be a participant to the Centennial celebration of Chogyal Palden Thondup Namgyal. It's a very honorable for us and for me personally, because most of you don't know here, younger generations. I remember vividly Chogyal Palden Thondup Namgyal, His Majesty and the Queen in gumboots, with traveling in Rabangla leech-infested areas with Pajo Sahib and Kesi Pradhan Sahib, trying to settle the Tibetans there. And I'm very grateful to him, and this is my way, I feel this is my way of saying thank you to the Chogyal. And I said in the beginning, how can I give a speech here in front of scholars here, Amjilas and Kempos, and I'm nobody to give a speech, of course not at all. But I have to introduce a little bit of what is Tibetan calligraphy in the beginning before I share my experience. So I will talk a little bit about the Tibetan calligraphy and then how I got involved into this. Because many of my close friends here, I think sure Rinpoche will not believe that he is a calligrapher, he is an artist. They all know me as a bureaucrat of a different nature. So therefore, how I got into the calligraphy is something that I wanted to share with you. And the third one, how I took the calligraphy art into a different level. I'm saying this because in Rajgarh, when I had the exhibition there, His Holiness the Dalai Lama inaugurated, Ministry of Culture organized it, and end of it, His Holiness Dalai Lama told the press, I didn't know that, His Holiness told the press, I've got a photograph. He's saying that Jamyang has taken the Tibetan calligraphy to a new height, to a different level. That's what he said. And I'm very proud to share with you what His Holiness said. And then finally, I'll talk a little bit about a different kind of artwork that you have seen, a miniature writing of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and a combination of mind, body, and speech. So in 4 parts, I'll try to say a little bit, trying to share my experience. And since it's not a serious lecture, you'll not get bored. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you. Talking about this calligraphy, as a Tibetan calligraphy means, what is a Tibetan calligraphy? Since it was invented, or not invented, it was kind of created by Thimi Sambodha, as we all know, I don't have to explain here, all know. This calligraphy is known by different names. In India, from Ladakh to Arunachal Pradesh, we call this Bodhi calligraphy. Okay, Bodhi calligraphy. In India, we call this officially. And in Nepal, since the word Tibetan is allergic to the Chinese embassy there, so they call this a Sambodha calligraphy. Okay, in Nepal, it's called Sambodha calligraphy. In Bhutan, it's called Dzongkha calligraphy. And in Mongolia, although they have got what is called Horik, the language of Hor, which was originally sort of created for the Mongolians by Dongten Chogyal Phagpa of Sakya from Tibet. But today, the Mongolians, especially the outer Mongolia, the Buddhist countries, not under China, the Kalmyks, the Agniski, the Tuva, they all recite Kanju and Tenju. You know, when they sit down, they recite, they read all the pechas, Kanju and Tenju. Of course, they can't speak any of the language that we are speaking. The language differs, but writing they all write. And when you have to converse with a Mongolian, you have to write in Uchen and say in the Kirang Ming Khari, and then he will read and he will reply to you in Uchen, Nye Ming Di. Otherwise, they can't speak. But that's the Tibetan calligraphy, they call that Horik. And certain part in Afghanistan and Pakistan, in the Baltistan, they call this a Baltic. But all of this, the common factor in all of this is Buddhism. So therefore, Buddhist calligraphy, I think sometimes is the right word that we call Buddhist calligraphy, not necessarily Tibetan calligraphy, Buddhist calligraphy. So whatever you call, anyway, in the 6th or 7th century, 633, the king of Tibet sent one of his most able minister, Thimi Anu, to India to learn the Indian Devanagari script for the purpose of translating Buddha Dharma into the local language of Tibet. And Thimi Anu then, not Sambodha, when he came to India, he was Thimi Anu, not Sambodha. When he came to India, it was during the reign of the last Buddhist Mauryan dynasty emperor, Harshavardhan. As you all know, it started from Ashoka to the last Buddhist emperor, Harshavardhan. And with the patronage of Raja Harshavardhan, Thimi Anu met Pandit Lipihara, Pandit Deve Vidya Sinha, and all these scholars in the Nalanda University then there. And in 7 years, he mastered this art. And end of the 7th year, the masters were so impressed with his intellect, they call him Sambodha. Sam means good, Bota means Botia or Bota, whatever. Because the word Tibetan is an English version that came into existence in the 18th century, I think. Before all of us, we were known as Botia or Bota or Pöt or Pöba. Okay? Even Tamangs also, before 1854, before the proclamation of the Muluki Ain by the Janga Bahadur, Tamangs were also called as Bhutias. Anyway, so this, whatever, in whatever language we call, Thimisamboda came back to Tibet, and then the basic writing that was created was Uchen, as you all know, Uchen. Of course, when I do this demonstration, maybe I'll write and tell you what is Uchen. Uchen means the one with hat, Uchen. And then one without hat is Ume. Okay? So Uchen was introduced there by Thimisamboda. And in all this, in this 2,000, 3,000 years, there is not much deviation in Uchen. If you see the rock carvings during the time of Chogyal Tisong Desain also, it's the same Uchen that we are seeing just now. There is not much deviation. But the deviation is in the Umi. So, this calligraphy, as I said, has different names. And I think I will leave this introduction here because it's a scholarly thing. Everybody must have read about it, you know about it. So I'll not talk about how the origin of Tibetan calligraphy and all that. So I'll leave it here. So it can be called by different names. And in Sikkim, we can call this as Hui calligraphy. There's no problem, Hui calligraphy. But all these calligraphies must be able to understand Buddha Dharma. That's the basic thing. As long as you understand that, it's okay, no problem. And the second is my experience, my journey into calligraphy. I'll take you to a kind of a guided virtual tool. Not virtual, I'll speak here. When I joined Sikkim Tourism, I was a tourist guide. I joined as a senior tourist guide long time back. So I used to guide people, maybe about 40 years back or something like that. Today, I'm still a guide. I'm trying to guide you to a new horizon of Tibetan writing, of Bodhi writing, or Hui writing, or whatever you call, or Buddhist writing. The experience was when I was serving in the government of Sikkim, then I served with the administration of His Holiness Dalai Lama for 12 years, and then when I left all of this back here, then there was a time when you retire, all of us when we retire, there was a time when you start looking into yourself, who am I? You know, that's a very interesting question. Today in the Googles you can know everything, find out who this, that, and everything, you know, Google photo and everything. But one thing you cannot find is who you are, you know, you have to find yourself. That's a very interesting thing, who you are. And I began to look into myself, who you are. I remember reading one of our Buddhist scholar, Chandrakirti Dawathakpa, when first he went to Kashi to meet his guru there. He knew there was a guru there who can teach him the Madhyamika, understanding of who you are and all that. And then he knocked the door of the guru. And the guru shouted from inside, "Kaun hai?" You know, "Kaun hai?" And then Chandrakirti said, "Isi ka uttar janne ke liye main aapke paas aaya hoon, Guruji." See? And then the door was opened, and that's how Chandrakirti is today. So I'm not saying I've reached that level, but what I'm saying is I began to look into myself, who I am. Because when I finished my studies, the first job I had was I was a teacher in Kyusing Tea Garden School. I was a teacher. And people around that area call me Jamyang Sir, because teacher, you know, Jamyang Sir, that's what we call here. Tashi Sir or Jamyang Sir or whatever. That was a level that was Jamyang Sir. Even today also in Rabangla, many people call me Jamyang Sir because I was a teacher. Then I was asked to come to Dharamsala to assist the representative of His Holiness Dalai Lama when he opened his first office here, Kungwe Nyimasangpola. Since I know a little bit of Tibetan and English and Nepali, so he wanted me to come and work for him here as his Tungi, the secretary. Today, even there are many senior Tibetans in Gandong who call me Tungila, the secretary, because that's a new level that was put to me, Tungila. So I was a Tungila for some time. Then I joined the government of Sikkim in 1977. I joined service in 77. And slowly, I sort of got promoted. And when I reached the level of deputy secretaries and joint secretaries and assistant directors, all that, then I was called as Jamyang Sap. That's a new level. I think, given to the officers, the Jamyang Sap. Then I was a Sap for some time. Then I went to Dharamsala to serve His Holiness Dalai Lama's administration there. And there's a tradition that when you are in the level of secretaries or deputy secretaries or joint secretaries, they call you Kongwe. So then I was called as Kongwe Jamyang. It's another level attached to me. Well, I finished all that, and then when I finally retired, I deleted all those from my computer, delete. I used the delete button, no Kongwe, no sir, no. I deleted everything. It was a clean, reformatted computer. And then I asked two questions. Who are you? What you are capable of? It's two things. Who are you? I couldn't find the answer as yet, because it's not very easy. Let us try. Maybe if it is easy, you never know. I'll ask you today one question. You look at me, all of you look at me. You're looking at me, yes? The subject and the object, you're looking at me. So there are two persons. You looking at me, okay? Now you look at yourself. Close your eye or open but you look at yourself. Again, there are two. One who is looking and one who is looked at, okay? There are two. Now look at the one who is looking at you. Can you find that? Somebody is looking at you, but look at the one who is looking at you. And if you find that, then you are a realized person. It's not easy. Anyway, let's not go around like that. So I started asking myself who I am and what I am capable of. In that finding of capable of, then I realized that I had a good handwriting. Now all of you here has some quality that you will realize when you think, what are you good at? Some may be good at writing, some singing, or some drawing, or whatever. All of you here, you see, potentially divine. That's what Swami Vivekananda said. All of us, we are potentially divine. Only those who manifest the divinity within realizes. So we are potentially divine. All of us has one or two qualities. So like that, I asked myself, what are you good at? And I'm good at writing. So therefore, I started looking into the virtual world. Finally, you have to go to the Google Guru, find out where is Tibetan calligraphy, trying to find out where is Tibetan in the international level. Because calligraphy is a established discipline in China. They've got 1,000 years of history of calligraphy. It's called Sufa. And all the calligraphy masters, they are much respected there, highly paid, highly respected. They walk slowly, they breathe slowly, they smile slowly, they are in a different world, the calligraphy masters in China. And their works, when they write, you can't imagine the price of when they write. The most expensive calligraphy today in the world, Chinese calligraphy, is 6 feet by 4 feet Heart Sutra. Because those days in the ancient time, all the Chinese were Buddhists. So it was a Heart Sutra, Shirap Nyingbu, written in the Chinese calligraphy. It's $45 million today, a Heart Sutra. And when I was doing it, and I was corresponding with Tibet, the calligraphers in Tibet, it became very popular in Tibet after I hyped here. The hype went to Tibet. It didn't happen here in India. It happened in Tibet, and it hyped there. And then they started asking me, and they asked, how much you are selling for your calligraphy? And I said this, no. The Chinese have a standard rate for calligraphy. I said this, I could not imagine. So what I'm basically trying to say is, calligraphy is already an established art, established profession in China called Sufa. And similarly in Japan, it's called Shodo. The Zen masters of Japan, you must have seen in the YouTube, Zen masters of Japan, they're all very, very highly respected. And that's also an established art. So I was thinking, we have so many varieties of calligraphies here in Uchen, Ume, and all those kind of things. And we have all those beautiful words like good luck or peace or whatever the Chinese calligraphy on the walls that you see. We have all those. What went wrong? Why can't we do that? That was my idea. So when I was doing this virtual search, I found out in the computer that there's only one person. Whenever you click the Tibetan calligraphy, you'll find one person who is participating for Tibetans and for the Bhutias all over the international, is a Britisher. None of us have reached that stage, looks like that. And of course, he was a monk from a Rumtik monastery, good at painting, but then he knew that there is a scope in that area, and he excelled in that, and he reached there. So I also found out that there was somebody carrying a certificate which says world record, Guinness World Record, 150 meters long scroll. So I said, okay, here's a chance, to break that record. If I break that record, if I make 170 meters long, I'll break that record. And then it'll come out in the news. So that was the idea. Then I sat down to do it, make the story short. I finally was able to write down 165 meters that long, then 165 meters long, and took it to New York. It's 52 kilos in a box like that. It's very heavy. And applied for the Guinness World Record and the World Record Academy in America. And they had consultations here and there. And after 1 month, they tells me that there is no such record to break. Nobody has done that. What can you do? So I said, no, there is a record, 150 meters, and I'm going to break that. And then I showed them the newspaper cutting. And they said, no, we don't issue certificate in Chinese. There's something in China, what they do is not a world record. But if you are prepared to compete with a world record, give us some time. Then I thought, no, I heard about long Qurans been written, many times. So how can we beat the Qurans and all that? So I almost lost hope there. And after 1 month, they broke the news that Jamyang created a new world record. So it came out in all the newspapers and all that. And then suddenly, one of the things that I still remember and I still cherish is Sikkim's newspapers. Many of them, they wrote very, very good articles about me. And even Sikkim Observer, the front page, big title, Rabanglas Jamyang sets a world record, something like that. I cherish those memories. Anyway, so that aside. But what I'm saying in briefly is now, the word Tibetan calligraphy is in the international arena. If you click the Google search engine, you'll find 30, 40 pages of that. So we have reached that limelight, okay? We have reached the limelight. So that part is done. Reaching the limelight part is done. I finished now. I can't continually break my record. So that's a new record set. And even today, nobody has broken that 165 meters long record. In a way, when I was doing that, it took 6 months. It was a good practice for me, because every day I was writing for 6 months. So that way I perfected my own writing also, And then from there, now I wanted to venture into what is called this art, the brush strokes. I think there are some brush stroke arts that you have seen, artistically writing, just like the Chinese and the Japanese do. So I was trying to venture into that, because I thought Chinese are very proud, Japanese are very proud to have a calligraphy written in their living room on the walls. Then I asked them, what is it? They say good luck or peace or something. So I was thinking, we have all, in fact, all the names that we have here are precious names. If you write Rinjin, it's a precious. If you write Tashi, it's a precious. If you write Thondup, it's a precious. All of your names are precious, If you write it properly in a calligraphy and hang it on the wall, it's very, very precious. And so I was trying to get into it, to understand deeper of how this works. In the Chinese calligraphy, they have got a tradition of a certain paper, certain ink, which I thought I should adopt it, because I don't have to do anything new. There is already a set. But only thing is that they do with pointed brush, straight. They write straight like this, and we write like this. See? So therefore, we have to employ the flat brush, not the pointed ones. So that's the only difference. And they say that when you the ink that we use, and I use here, I can show you, this is called Sumi ink. It's a carbon, made from carbon. The purpose is that in the carbon, when the positive negative energy in the carbon is in a straight line, it produces light. That is what torch does, all of you use torch, the carbon there. So therefore, in the case of calligraphy also, if the artist from his heart, Nyingza, what we call them, Amjilas will know, Nyingza Tembo. If you are Nyingza Tembo, if your chi energy is in the correct position, and then if you write flawlessly with a brush, and then if you multiply a certain part of that into, magnify it into 500 times, and if you know the positive negative energy of in that ink is correct, then they say the calligraphy speaks. Of course, calligraphy can't speak, but what it really means is that when you have your certain thing written with this kind of technique, and then if you have it on the wall, when people cross by it, they will look at it twice. They will look at it once, and then they will look at it twice, because it has some attraction that will attract you. It has some kind of course, the calligraphy can't speak, but it certainly has energy around it. That is what the Chinese calligraphers say. And I'm trying to copy that. I'm trying to do that, not reach that stage. But I must share with you, when I had the solo exhibition in New York in the Tibet House, Richard Gere came all the way from Washington to New York to see my exhibition. And he brought along with him two very professional curators. Curator is one in the exhibition who judges, who understands, who does everything, And then since Richard Gere, before he came into Tibetan Buddhism, he was a Zen Buddhism. He's a follower of Zen Buddhism. He had a Zen master, and Zen master calligrapher he has. So he understands calligraphy. So after all the assessment, what they said was, look, this calligraphy that you are doing I can't say it's better than the Chinese or the Japanese, but certainly it's not worse. So they have got 1,000 years of history of calligraphy, and we just started 10 years maybe, and we have reached that level. I just wanted to tell you that we have got the potential to reach that level if we are very serious. And especially for the Rinpoches, for the Lamas, whenever you go, where to your disciples, to your devotees, if you give a present, sungdu or something, I don't know how much that sungdu they will cherish, but certainly if you give in a brush, a writing of your thought to that, and he will frame it, and that will transform his life. There are so many words like Chibur, Dedan, Thodan, Je, sit alone, you will find your own friends, and things like Milarepa quotations and all that. So it's very important, even for the Lamas, to have this calligraphy, the art form of calligraphy. And the third one is the new art that you have seen, the miniature writings of Buddha Dharma, and you have seen with magnifying. I wrote with magnifying glass, so therefore you have to see with magnifying glass to appreciate its fullest. The idea is, as I was looking into myself, who you are, that journey continues. Who am I? Who am I? That journey continues. And who am I? And then whenever you go to a Rinpoche, you ask for Simti, and then the Rinpoche will say that Sim is the most important thing. Sim too, your mind is the most. Everybody tells you to look within, to look within. Mind is the most important thing. Mind is, and then how to look within, Then we have got all those thankas, all those statues of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Jizundoma, and all the thankas and paintings and statues and all that. But Lord Buddha was not, during Lord Buddha's time, there was no thanka, there was no statue. Because perhaps Lord Buddha's time, whatever he teaches, the disciples' level of understanding was so high that they recorded everything immediately. They have got what is called Miji Besung, Miji Besung, unforgetting Tantra, They have got the siddhi that once they listen to it, they will record it properly. So therefore, when Buddha said something, the disciples understood he needs no other form of convincing the disciples. And the disciples also in turn, after 100 years of Lord Buddha's parinirvana, sat down and wrote down everything what they heard. Thus have I heard, it started. Maile ek samayama isto sunega thyo, and then started writing, Ke suniyo? Buddha said this, Buddha said that. That's what Kanjur is all about. Kanjur is all about. Kanjur starts by saying that I have heard this, and then he writes. The other one say I have heard like this, and he writes. All because it's recorded in their mind. They are so intelligent. And then you are, of course, the commentaries on those Kanjus. There are 226 volumes. So all those recorded ones had to happen those days because it's not necessary for them to say that A for apple. You don't have to show apple to them. They understand what A, But then after that, after some time, the intellect level of the people went down. And then our spiritual masters, when they say Buddha said this, Buddha said that, it's very difficult for us to understand, Buddha says that the wisdom of Jamyang is like this. They don't understand what's the wisdom of Jamyang, something like that. So, therefore, our creative masters have created those statues and thangas. They said, okay, for the wisdom of Jamyang is like this, with two eyes like this, and holding a knife like this, all the thing, Or Jizundoma is like this, carrying like this, so that it's easier for you to meditate, because Jamyang means immediately Jamyang looks like you, all of us. Our Buddha looks like us. Chinese Buddha looks like the Chinese. Taiwanese Buddha looks like the Taiwanese. Each of them have framed their own way of understanding the wisdom of that particular deity. In fact, sometimes I think that the Shirab Nyingbu that we all read, in today's language, Shirab Nyingbu is the minute of the meeting. Nothing but the minute of the meeting. Shirab Nyingbu, where Lord Buddha was sitting in meditation, and there was a Charesi, and there was Shariputra and Mangalaputra. Shariputra asking Charesi, what is Tongbanyi? And then Charesi says, those who want to seek Tongbanyi, do like this, it's like this. And there was a discussion between the two in the chairmanship of the Lord Buddha in the meditation. And after some time, when this finished, okay, Tongbanyi is like this, Suk Tongbanyi le, Susule Tongbanyi Shemai, everything is understood. And then Lord Buddha says, Tedishin, okay. So Lord Buddha puts a seal of approval. And in today's language, it's the minute of the meeting, of this big meeting. But then when you ask to meditate on Tongbanyi in the minute of the meeting, it's not easy. So therefore, there is a Yum Shirabji Parudi Chimba statue with 4 hands like this. There is a statue with 4 hands saying that this is Shirabji Parudi Chimba. This is the Heart Sutra's sort of a deity. So therefore, what I'm trying to basically say is that for us, for our level, the different statues representing this, the body of the Buddha, and then the scriptures representing the voice of the Buddha, and then stupas representing the heart of the Buddha, kusung tuk, that's what it is. And it's easy for us to relate and understand. But then eventually when you read a certain level of understanding of Buddhism, our creative teachers will say that, okay, now when you meditate on, let us say, Jizundoma in front of you, and Jizundoma, Kusung Tuk blesses you, and then you are clean, this physical body is clean. Finally, Jizundoma comes and merges in you, you become a Jizundoma. Yeah, that's what it says. You become a Jizundoma. And then finally they say you transform yourself into the seed mantra of Jizundoma, that's Tam, the letter Tam. Then you become the letter finally, you become a letter Tam. And then they say the dissolution begins from down below Tam, and finally it disappears, and that's what Tongbanyi, that's what they say, isn't it? So, very creative masters, teaching us the path of the Shunyata through a medium called statue or a Thangka or whatever. These are mediums for us to understand. Milarepa did not have any Shesham in his house, in his cave there, but he is Milarepa. He reached that level. After a certain time, maybe we will reach, all of us will reach that level, because we are supposed to be Ye Sangye, originally all clear Sangye, and then we are in this through defilements, and then as the defilement cleans, then we become Yang Sangye, we again become Sangye. Okay? That's the journey, long journey. So therefore, I thought, and also I have read Lord Buddha's in one of his, where he says, Keba Thuiki Thamala Ngani Yigi Susuche. Ultimately, I'll come in form of letters and respect me. That's what I've read it. So I thought, why learn drawing of Buddha's face and all that? Why can't put the wisdom of the Buddha into a figure, letter itself? Why the letter itself cannot be formed into a figure? After all, when it disappears, just like, for example, just like when the water flows, and suddenly the water freezes into an ice and it becomes the shape of a tara. See? So it's a tara, but it's the ice tara. And suddenly when it defreezes, then it becomes the water. Same thing. Okay? So similarly, I thought, why statue? Why can't the wisdom of that particular be written in the form of that particular statue? And it's easier for you when you recite Om Jizuma Bhamadamala Chazar, looking at that particular artwork that you have made, reading from there itself, Om Jesu Mahamadamala Chachalo, you are reading that also, but you are also visually, thinking that there is a form Jizundama like that. So that was my idea. I don't know whether I'm correct or not. I don't know. You all, Sanghas all will know better. But that's a form of my way of taking you to a step closer, or a shortcut to understanding your own self. After all, after all this exercise, finally it comes to you. Then there is nothingness. There is nothing. That's the last thing. Then you become your own self. So that is the fourth art that I have created, and writing, miniature writing also. Many of you have read Chinju, Shantideva. When Shantideva was talking Chinju in Nalanda University, by the last chapter, the 9th and 10th chapter, then they say that he disappeared. Then they could not see him, they only could hear him. He disappeared. And then one of the students asked him whether you have written this, what you are saying, somewhere. And then Shantideva said, yes, on a single palm leaf, I have written this and put in the corner of my hut where he is staying. So I was thinking that the entire Chinju in a single palm leaf, he must have written in this fashion. So I'm trying to follow Shantideva. He must have written in this follow. I don't know whether those days magnifying glass was there or not, but then they had a powerful eye, not like ours, polluted eyes like us. So anyway, so that also inspiration came from me, that it is possible that you can write with miniature, and it's also possible that you can write the wisdom of that particular deity in form of that letter. And in doing so, in my personal case, for me also it was a kind of meditation. It was kind of a recitation. His Holiness Dalai Lama in Rajgir, when he saw, I displayed about 200 works of like this in a big hall there, and His Holiness asked me, he asked me, how did you find so much time in doing this? So I said, every morning, His Holiness, people recite their morning prayers. All of us, many of us, yes, recite at least 1 hour doing their morning rituals. So I said, I sit down to write. I write. Every morning I write. So I'll show you my big thing also. Sometimes I write one line, sometimes I write in one paragraph, but I keep on writing. And finally, to a few tips to the students here who are interested in this. First, I want to say that there is a great potential, there's a great potential. Just as Chinese calligraphy and Japanese shodo have in the market everywhere in the international level, there is a possibility of this Buddhist calligraphy, whatever name you call, Hui calligraphy, Tibetan calligraphy, makes no difference, the same thing. But what I'm saying is that there is a great potential, there is a great opportunity if you practice it. And for yourself also, you will really enjoy writing it if you sort of keep on practicing that. But then there are some tricks that you must understand. How to write. How to write. Holding the pen. Holding the pen. Normally, we hold the pen with 2 fingers only, like this. And then this thumb is called tipti. The thumb takes the letter like this. Thumb helps you to shape the letter. It's called tipti. Okay? So that means you must be wondering that every time, all of you have ball pens here, dot pens here, okay? Dot pen. I'll tell you, in our time in 1960s, early 60s, there was no dot pen. There was only the ink pen. Ever since dot pens came into this world, all the handwritings of the world disappeared. That's what they say. Not only Tibetan, Chinese, Hindi or English. You must have seen all those ancient documents or the bureaucrat documents or government documents written beautifully in black ink, and even today they are intact, because they are written with ink. And there was, I don't know whether it's still continuing also, there was a government circular in the government of India that you can't write with ball pen. You have to write with ink pen, and that also with black ink pen. I've seen that circular long time back. Because the idea is that after some time it disappears, okay? If you want to keep a good record, then if you write with ball pen, after 40 years, 50 years, it disappears. And for the practitioners of handwriting, the first advice I give is that please throw all your dot pens into the dustbin. You may not like it, but that's what. And if you start writing with the ink pen, and then, because it is thickness also, it is thinness also, so your finger gets work, to make it thin and thick and like that. And this practice improves your handwriting. It will be inconvenient to begin with changing from dot pen to the pen ink. But I'll assure you, after some time, you'll really enjoy it. Then you'll never look at a dot pen, just like I do. I don't write with it, because dot pen holds the power to take your finger wherever it does, goes. When you write with ink, you have a control over yourself, what you write and how you write. Okay? So the first is the pen, the kind of pen that you use, the kind of ink you use. Because normally, you just pick up a pen and write. You don't give much interest to what you write and how you write. Because if you pay a little interest in what you write and how you write, it is also a form of meditation. Because when you are doing that, then you are mindful of writing. You are mindful of the paper on which you write. You are mindful of the ink that you use. And you are mindful of the pen. And of course, you are mindful of how you write. Okay? And that's meditation. That's Buddha Dharma, Sure, does not mean blowing trumpets and beating the drums. No. Every day is Che. When you sit down and write, when you think, when you talk, that's Che. You can do every day. So what I'm saying is that if you know properly how to write, you'll really enjoy it. That's a kind of meditation also. And secondly, if you want to be a calligraphy artist, if you want to be an artist, the first thing is your Ningza, Za Chi, the Za has to be, straight. So which means that you are not supposed to use any abusive materials, like alcohol, like smoke, or like drugs, or whatever injection like this and that, I don't know. There are so many things that in the market to spoil you. So because then if you're used to it, then slowly, then your hand starts trembling like this, and then you can't do anything. You can use bhara. You wash bhara dunuk like it, but you can't write a proper writing. So therefore, seriously, for a student, if you want to be a calligraphy artist, okay, be careful with all what you eat and what you drink and what you serve to your body, because that's the most important tool. Your mind, looking into your mind also, you need this tool. Without this tool, you can't do. So therefore, you have to respect this tool. You have to be careful with this tool, what you eat, what you drink. And then eventually, when you do that, the result will be also a master stroke or a masterpiece. Okay? So that's very important. Even sometimes I feel that I have friends who drinks a lot of coffee. I have friends who drinks a lot of coffee, and then they said, "Oh, Jamyang, my hand is becoming like this." I say, "You drink a lot of coffee because continuously drinking a lot of coffee." Amjala will tell you better. I think it's not good. I think because it also has effect somewhere. Okay, drink a lot of water. That's the best way. Be safe. Anyway. So these are the few tips that I can say here in this opening, and I don't want to bore you by giving a lot. Of course, I'm not giving a speech or a talk. I'm just trying to share what I thought. And now what I'll do is I will go there and I will give a brief demonstration. I'll write a long 1 or 2 words there and tell you what is Tibetan calligraphy, and then what is Tibetan calligraphy art. And perhaps we can have some time to answer some of the question answer like that. Then the whole day I'll be here if you want to know something. Tomorrow I'll also be here. At certain time I'll also find time to speak in the Tibetan language also to those who have not understood thoroughly just now. And once again, I thank you, Rinpoche. I thank you very much for calling me, and I thank all of you, all of the NIT friends who have really worked hard in putting this exhibition together. And also, I want to say that a lot of people ask me whether artists become famous after they die. I'm not famous. I know I'll be famous after 15 years or 20 years when I die. That's what normally the rule is. But then they ask me whether you have somebody following you. So I'm very happy to say Lubenlai here, Luben Yishi. He has taken all the art also. We worked together for many years. And in my absence also, you can invite him sometimes and then use his skill and expertise. I'm very happy to introduce here. He has come here all the way. And once again, thank you very much for bearing with me, listening to me patiently. And I will go there. Thank you. And this is the Chinese rice paper that I use sometimes. What I'm going to write just now is with a big brush is Namgyal Pyoge Shiri Nyamship Khang. That's the name of the institute that I'm going to write. This is simply calligraphy. Calligraphy means beautiful writing, simply beautiful writing. It's not the art, something like that. For the art, I call it Yigzel, the art of Yigi, the art of writing. I discussed this with the calligraphers in Tibet. I said there's a short name for calligraphy in China, Sufa, in Japanese, Shodo. So I said, why can't we have a short name also? Because I'm the one who's beginning this, So I don't have a precedent following kisne pehle kisne kya kiya wo nahi tha. So I had to do it myself. So I discussed with them. I said, can we have a short name? And they all said, Yigzel is a good word. So what I'm writing just now is not Yigzel. It's beautiful writing. It's a writing. And I'm going to write the name of the institute. Namgyal Pyoge Shiri. Okay, that's how it is. Namgyal Pyoge Shiri Nyamship Khang. And calligrapher is incomplete without a seal of an artist. So therefore, I'm going to put a seal here. Anyway, so you liked it? You can clap also if you like it. Now, maybe like this. If you see it, it will look better. Okay? Ini simda. This one, kati pressure, sudo shash. La, this sudo shash. Now, since this program is also a part of the Centennial celebration of Myong Chogyal Palden Thondup Namgyal, I'm going to write that in Tibetan version, or the Bodhi version, or the Loic version, whatever you call. This one is quite long. It's a Kurab Chunyi ba Palden Thondup Namgyal Cho Kutung ne Milu Gyakorwe Tuden Su. Okay, so I have to use a smaller brush. You see, before I write, writing the Yingu is the beginning of the letter. That's very important. Important in the sense, actually, Yingu in different styles is the the letter the letter When it is translated from Devanagari to the Tibetan script, the Yigi is written in the beginning because is the most precious word, the sound that comes from the heart directly, because the sound comes from different angles. Ka comes from here, cha comes from the throat, ta comes from the teeth, pa from the lips, comes from the heart. Okay, so is the most precious. So before you write anything, you write the So in our case also, we write the Yingu first. So this is the Yingu. That's what it is. So let's see this, how it looks. You can put it there. So this was beautiful writing. I call it beautiful, I don't know. I can't say beautiful myself, but you can say beautiful writing, okay? Now, I'll write one piece. I can take this back. Okay, I talked about the art. Art, what is that calligraphy? Art. So let me write one with art. La. Yeah, anyway. So this is the idea is to give you an idea of how I write a long one. If you want me to write something else, I can do it later on. But this is an idea to the audience to say how I write a long, beautiful writing. And art is something that in the beautiful writing you can practice and you can write as beautiful as this. And more beautiful than this, of course, you can write, because after certain practice, you reach the level that you can do it yourself. But an art is something that comes from within, It's something which comes from within. For example, if you visualize something artistically, I don't know how to say that, but a particular word that you wanted to write, and then in artistically how to write that letter. So in our case, in the Tibetan script, we have, as I said in the beginning, uchen means one is with u like this. This is the u head, and then like this, and then so this is the u one with u. Okay, so without u, then write like this. This is without u. So in the art form, you can't mess up with this uchen, because as I said, for thousands of years also, there is not much change in uchen. So for a person like me to mess up with it and say it is an art and right here and there, I dare not do that. So I do not touch uchen when I'm talking about the art. I'm only touching the kyuk style of the umi, because that is where everybody writes kyuk in their own style, Perhaps you can artistically write it, or you can properly write it, whatever, formally write it, whatever. There are many scopes of writing in the kyuk. So therefore, whenever you visualize a word, for example, let us say chawa, love. Okay, love, chawa is a very common word, love. And people write with heart and all that during the Valentine time. I don't know what it means, but let me write that word because that's a popular word. Trying to be romantic at this age. See? I'm going to write the word sewa, okay? Sewa is ho, sewa, yeah? And artistically, that too. So I can write like this. You can focus it. I can use a bigger brush. Yeah. Okay. Ha. Sa. Jingbo. Wa. Okay. Okay. This is an art. So this is what is called yigzel. The earlier one is yigi, good yigi, bad yigi, whatever. But this one is yigzel. Okay. Yeah. And maybe a seal end of it. Somebody can have it. I don't know who can have it. And another popular word is Shiva. Shiva, peace. Shai, go Shayu Shiva. Not true. Go Shayu Shiva. Rua. Shiva. Shayu Shiva. Okay. Sometimes I become nervous in front of my teachers there. Okay. So Shagigushi, like this, Shiva, and then like this, and then you can make a little bit of peace. Shagigushi was peace, okay? So even writing this also, the kyuk, everybody has their own style of writing. Then for your kind information, my style of writing kyuk, I have a small change in the naro. If you have noticed the naro that I write, I'm going to write here like this, It's okay. I'm going to write here naro because it's like this, you see. When I was practicing every day, I'll show you this. This is how to perfect handwriting. The only way to practice perfect handwriting is to write it, and every day. That's the only way. There's no shortcut. So this is my book. Yeah, every day I write like this. Every day I write. Yeah, I write the Guru Bashir's Chikden Swende. And when I was writing it, I have to write first anaro ugen yugi nubshan sam. And then normally when you write ugen yugi nubshan sam, you write with and then you write with this is in naro. Okay, naro. Because when I write, thinking Guru Rinpoche, I have to look up and connection somewhere up there, So I find this naro quite stupid, So whenever I write naro, I write like this. Right. So from there it became a style on my writing. Anaro. Like this. Anaro o. Uge. Yuki. So this is the naru that I normally write. See? Because here I'm trying to prostrate, I'm trying to respect, I'm trying to reach also to the Guru Rinpoche. That was the idea. So that is how you invent, all of you. Each of you have wonderful ideas or techniques that will come in when you practice it. So I'm trying to share how I went into what I got it. And there are many more that you can do it. And now I think that's the end of my workshop, official workshop now. But before that, I want to present one frame to the Sekdi Rinpoche. This is the original work. Goddess Tara, Om Taritu Ritu Taritu Soha. There's the Tara mantra. And here on the side is the seed mantra of Tara, Tam, 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 Tam. And here is the recitation of the entire Tara Sutra. You can see. And I use the Sumi ink here on handmade Lokta paper. This comes direct from Jamyang, this paper. I'm sorry, now the person who makes these papers in Jamyang is no more and they don't follow it. But this Jamyang paper, one of the best papers that I've seen, the thinnest and the best paper that where inks don't blur. So I used it here and I'm very happy to present this on this happy occasion to Rinpoche. Can you please accept it? Somebody can help, please. Okay, so what next? Time for question answers or whatever.
Ask to.
Jamyang
is asking the audience for some questions, some queries. So he's open to, answer all your questions, queries, whatever. You may raise your hands if you have any questions. It was an interesting session, so I guess the students may have some interesting questions.
Anybody wants to know anything? Either you have understood fully or you have not understood anything.
No. We have one question here. La.
If there's no question, means...
No, sir.
Okay.
No. I just want to know that is there any kind of differences in writing, because we have seen like the writings of Shang Yishide and the other general or the common writings that we see in all the text of Tibetan scriptures. So have you ever come across any kinds of other writings rather than like Shang Yishide's writing and the normal writing of Tibetan?
Now, there are two schools of thought in the as far as the Tibetan script is concerned. One school of thought says that there exists a script before Thimisambhoda, the Shangshung script. One thought says, no, it all came from Thimisambhoda, nothing before it. But there are some kind of forms of writing, beautiful writings, like called Ziyi or Shangshung Gi and all that, beautiful. But that remained as a culture there because it has not come into the day-to-day use for writing scriptures and something like that. So it's a question of research, because research also of debate. So I don't want to get into that before Thimisambhoda. After Thimisambhoda, as I said in the beginning, that the Ujin did not underwent much change. It remained the same throughout, from Sungzen Gampo till date. A little bit change here and there. Even Bhutanese Dzongkha also, they write Uchen, but except in one or two ma or something like 2-3 words, they write Umi mixed with Uchen. So otherwise, it's the Uchen basically in Dzongkha. But as far as the Umi is concerned, there are 100 plus varieties of writings, 100 plus writings. Because in the Umi, when you write with long, and when you want that, when you write Umi in Pecha, the script, in the Pecha script you have a limited space where you write. So you have to write with short legs, all PT, or short legged letters like that. And then different regions of Tibet, in the Kham area, they were a little different of writing. In Amdo area, Tibet is a vast land, it's not a small land, it's 6 million people, 60 lakhs of people in Tibet. So at different places they have got little variations in writing in the Kyuk, not the Uchen. Uchens are same, in the Kyuk style. The one which is very popular is the Central Tibet, the Lhasa kind of writing, the Kyuk, that I am trying to do it here, because that is normally used by the government for official writings and all that. So there are different, and still it is evolving. Still it is evolving according to the need of a particular. Sometimes when you want to carve on the stone, you have to have certain things, on the wood, certain things. And also there is a tradition of writing script with gold dust, with the silver dust, and all kinds of dust. They grind it, they make powder, and then they write with it. So to suit in the different materials and the space, so different kinds of calligraphy is used. But basically, it's the 30 consonants and the 4 vowels going around it. There is no change.
Small curiosity.
Yes, please sit down, sir. You don't have to stand up. Betty, yeah.
First of all,
Yeah.
thank you so much for giving us such an enlightening talk and letting us know more about you. That's more important thing is this. Your journey, the title itself suggests story of your journey into the Tibetan calligraphy. It's amazing, and we learned a lot of things about you. My small curiosity is this: since you don't want and you don't intend to change any kind of a figure or kind of thing into the Uchen. Whereas Ume, as you suggested, more than 120 varieties are there, right? So why is so sanctified that Uchen cannot be modified? Is it because main Kanjur Tenjur written in that? Or is something else in that? Some religious sanctity? This is my curiosity about that. Then one more thing in the childhood, we were talking about the Bhamik, Thaik, and a lot of things, What are these scripts now? Is it still in existence?
Which one?
Bhamik, Thaik, they call it.
Okay.
So this is what our teacher used to tell us about.
Baltic, you mean?
I don't know what about that.
Okay.
Thaik, that. Even then, this Uchen is, Umed is known as a Thaik. The local teacher used to tell us now. One more thing about this, so far as writing system is concerned, Tibetan writing system, whether it's a pre-Thonmi or after Thonmi. It is true, historically it is true. Thonmi Samphota, when it came to India, it was the Gupta period. And I'm of the opinion, and Gilin Chapel also mentions this thing. Actually, this Tibetan script was developed on the basis of Gupta Brahmi script, not Devanagari. This is one thing he categorically says, and I'm of the opinion probably this is the true thing, because it is a period and everything synchronized then. And Brahmi script from the Ashokan, as you stated, Ashokan toward the passing through the many phases reaches to the Gupta script. This is the 6th, 7th century AD. Period also when the Thonmi Samphota came to India, it synchronizes. So this is what special. My curiosity is about the Uchen or Umed ka sanctity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There can be a spiritual angle to it. Why this can't be? You have to do a little bit of research on. When Buddha Dharma was translated into the Tibetan script, they made sure that all the mantras are not translated. It is in that particular. Because in the mantra, as we go, because it's also a part of the Sanatana Dharma, as we go near it, we'll know that the Tantrayana in India is from the Shivites. It is the sound, the value in the sound, the Tantra, the recitation. The sound has got the value. Because Again, we have to go deeper, understanding what is yigi, what is letter, Yigi is a namdo, same namdo. In your mind, you have a vision, you have some kind of thought, namdo, number two. And that namdo comes onto your nyingza, on your nervous system there, nyingza. Okay? And then through the lung has the nature of moving, so it moves up into the artist's body. For example, if you think of, just now, if I think of writing tsewa, so the namdo, the tsewa has come into my mind, tsewa, I have to write. And then suddenly I sit down and slowly, the word tsewa comes on my nervous system, in the physical body. And through the movement of the lung, it comes up. And when it comes out from the mouth, it becomes yigi gita, the sound of the letter. And when I write with hand, then it becomes yigi yiksu, the body of the writing. Okay? So yigi means yigi gita and yigi gisuk. So in the Tantra, the sound has more value. That's what we will do. So therefore, whenever this was translated, everything is translated into the Tibetan language, but when it comes to the mantra, recitation of the mantra, then you have to recite the Sanskrit mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, or Guru Padma, Vanja Guru Padma Sama, whatever in that Sanskrit, so that the sound has got value in that. And very interestingly, even the Mongolians, when they when they read the pechas there, and they think that since the Devanagari is translated into Tibetan, the Tibetan is the original, and it has got the sound value, they think. So they do not translate into Mongolian. They say that if the translated version in the Mongolian, in a particular scripture, if they recite, there is not much value. They say it has to be recited in this Ujjain form, in the same writing, because they find that the sound has got value in that. So therefore, in the Ujjain, original Ujjain and all that. Now, as an artist, talking from the artistic point of view, the Ujjain is a standard one. Now, if I want to create that into an art, it's very difficult for me because there is not much freedom for me because it's a standard, I can't write long like this, that, and all that and say it's an art. It's not comfortable for me. But if there is no option, maybe I would have gone and tried something there. But I said there's a beautiful option available as kyuk is cursive. With free hand you can write, as you have seen. And that is the best tool for an artist to express independently how she or he wishes to express it. So therefore, I have not ventured into messing up with the Ujjain, not because of any spiritual value or reasons to it, but from the artistically point of view, it's more convenient for me to use kyuk to express myself freely. So that's the idea. And now, since again you asked about that before Thimisambhota and after Thimisambhota, there's a discussion that we keep on happening because if they say there is no Tibetan script before Thimisambhota, I think it is correct. Because Shangshung was not a part of Tibet, It's only Songtsen Gambu who united Shangshung and Tibet together, Shangbu Nyi. The Ngari, Shangshung was not a part of Tibet. It's known as Shangshung. If it is a script of the Shangshung, okay, but it certainly is not the script of the Tibetans. The Tibetan script came from Thimisambhota. So both are correct. If there is something there, yeah, I say maybe, yes. But certainly, the Thimisambhota went to... Again, there are different names, whether it's from Devanagari or, of course, not from the Brahmi script, but Devanagari and Gupta script. Professor Samdor Rinpoche told us that it's one of the same thing. Because it is during that Mauryan dynasty, Gupta dynasty, all the way from Ashoka to Harshavardhan during that period. So, it can be called Gupta script because it was during that dynasty. And then Devanagari, because those days, those people, the area around that was known as Devanagari, the town of the gods. All literary, Pandit Lipiara and Pandit Devi Vidyasena and all those great scholars were there, and the Nalanda scholars were there, certainly. But for us Buddhists, The most interesting time is when Harshavardhan died. On the day Harshavardhan died, Adi Shankaracharya was born, and then Buddhism disappeared. That's a short story. Whether we like it or not, I'm sorry, but that's the fact. Any? Yes, please. You're welcome. I've not understood.
But I just have a question. I noticed that you use two different seals. Any difference between the two seals?
Two different
Seals.
seals. Okay. Yes, normally in the calligraphy we use two seals. One is the artist seal. After you finish the work, and then you put your seal, artist, your name or whatever. And then the other one is like sometimes flower or butterfly or something like that. It's called mood seal. The idea is to balance the art. It has to look straight, beautiful, correct. So if there is a more writing this side, and then you put a red seal there, it balances your work. The mood seal is to balance your artwork to look beautiful. So therefore, I sometimes use two seals, sometimes one, depending on the artwork. If it is very nice and round, then I put a small seat here, that's good enough. If it is like this, heavy this side, then they put a seat on the other side. That's the idea.
Oh, Jamyang. First of all, I would like to really congratulate you because you have achieved a lot and you have taken this art to the international arena. For that, I really congratulate you. And Jamyang is one who can really create, especially for the younger generation. Now today, what do we need is something artistic. So this is the person who can create it. For that, I congratulate you. And my small second question is that in Tibetan, we have a lot of course. I myself is a lover of calligraphy, and I had the good fortunate to learn this under the very able teachers. Now, as far as Ujjain is concerned, you have already said. Now, as far as Ume is concerned, we have got a variety of these choices. Now, you have chosen this Q, and I was wondering why didn't you choose Dusa? Dusa normally it is quite artistic.
Yes.
And why didn't you explore that one? That was my question.
Yes. This I forgot to mention this. Ujjain, Umi, and Tuksa. Tuksa is a decorative. It's called decorative because normally we write on the envelope, Tashidile, or normally you write. It's not extensively used. It is rarely used for writing small things, and it has its own shape. One of my friend, calligrapher in Germany, he used Tuksa. Of course, he died very recently. He used Tuksa, and he also again he writes it properly, right, in the same fashion. Again, the only way is writing the leg long and stretching it here. He does beautifully, but I find more freedom in Kyuk than any other thing. So it's possible. There is no restriction. In there. As I said, I did not have any precedent. Many years back, Trungpa Rinpoche, if you don't know, there is one Rinpoche called Trungpa Rinpoche in Colorado. He actually initiated it. He does calligraphy a little bit. And he talks more about calligraphy. And there's a book also, Dharma Art, that is published talking about calligraphy by our master Trungpa Rinpoche. Because he had a Japanese concert, so he must have been influenced by the Japanese, the flower arrangement and calligraphy, the two things that he does. But again, he was a Rinpoche. So since he is a Rinpoche, his brush becomes divine, So even if his handwriting is not very good, he can do anything, and then there's seal and there's a divinity in there. So since I'm not a Rinpoche, I have to perfect myself to get the credit due, not as a divine brush. So Trungpa Rinpoche is the one who initiated this long time back. And then we had few like Tumgang, the former director of Chipa, who died about 100 years now. He stayed for about 100 years and he died very recently. He did a little bit, but then by the time he started doing it, he was too old, he couldn't do much. In my case also, I'm not young. By the time I start doing it, I'm not young, and I don't know how long I'm going to live. So therefore, I'm trying to talk more and more so that someday one of you can become a master of calligraphy in the world and sort of shine. So that's why I'm trying to talk more and more. That's all. Some Rinpoches does a little bit here and there, but that's for their own hobby, but not really professionally or sort of aggressively trying to do it. Yes.
Jule, Tishtile. My name is Centennial, and I would like to ask my question in Tibetan language because I'm more comfortable in that. Otherwise, no one will understand my question. Nye tuwa tkaya nisana, tanda gila kirangi shugu kau thik meja kan tikda. Ne titi ani khaptu ligdi kisala. Nganzu titi shu da thik meja kan titi kazu ma tini kyok ma saadu dura. The khaptu tiage ni the technique lan technique ta di le namjo de khani pheji chewa na chik che. Ani niwa de ani tada gila kirangi 이게 춘춘춘 티저를 교이라 근데 이게 누구 가리게 지기나 아니 야마나 오마이나 이게 장도 육마 이게 비지기야 육마 아니 야마나 육마게 지기나 야마나 짜기 거이죠 밴디게 지기나 가리 지기나 니와체 아니 스마데 아니 gelangkerangi word god shada di shal ni sadin ko yujin da tus gori sare di tiala di theoring lani khar kanye khare chu me da ni di thidi da tus na gyurungura da ani tede ya thini ma de wa cha lo di chu na khare chu di genetic ma shi sunglo shi shwe.
Let me reply in English or Tibetan. English, just now English. We will talk later on in this in Tibetan later on. English just now because there are people who understand English. Three questions. The first question is the difficulties I faced when doing this long one. Yes, anything you do, difficulties will be there, but that's a part of life. If there is no difficulty, where is the life? One of my friends who died recently, he always says that they pray for going to the Hayu, everything is peaceful. He said, no, I don't want to go there. It's so peaceful that there's no work there, I want to be here in this world to be, to struggle, achieve and all that. This is wonderful. I don't want to go there. So therefore, what I'm saying is that anything that you want, you attempt, that of course difficulties will be there. But they are not difficulties. They are obstacles. They are part of your life. When I decided to that long one, 165 meters long or something like that. And then first thing is what to write in that. What the content of writing. Then I asked my friend Tashisring Amimachin, who was also a member here. Tashisring. So Tashisring said. 14th Dalai Lama is the only Dalai Lama in all these 14 in series where all the different schools of Buddhism masters have written long life prayer for him. Nobody else before 14th Dalai Lama, everybody came and wrote long life prayers for, except the current Dalai Lama. His Holiness Dalai Lama is the only one where almost all the spiritual masters of all the schools of Buddhism wrote long life prayers for him. So Tashila has compiled all that in 2 volumes. 33 great masters' long life prayers there. And he said, you copy that. He said, you copy that because then on a single piece of paper, you have long life prayer written for His Holiness Dalai Lama by 33 great masters. What better? So that was a very good idea. So I said, okay, I'm going to write it. And then also the second question is, what are you talking? 160, you know 165 meters. Are you okay? He asked me, psychologically, you're talking about writing 165 meters, it may take years, And I said, are you okay? Yeah. So I said, I'm okay, because I know that when you start something, then you'll reach somewhere. By only talking, you don't reach any. Swami Ramdev says, "Karne se hoga." So I said, I have to start my thing. So that was the content. And then the paper. Yes, you are right. Finding the right paper where you don't blur the ink. All these Lokta papers that you see here. Lokta paper is the material of the paper is the Lokta tree. It's only at altitude of 12,000 feet. Because if you use that paper, then when you write, inks don't blur. Otherwise, inks blur. All the good-looking papers that you see, they use chemical and made it look good, bright and all that. And if you start writing, then ink goes like that. So it's not useful. So I was trying to find, I asked my friends in Bhutan to send me some papers. I got few papers there. Again, that's either it's too thick or it's too thin. And then there are a lot of other wood and everything in that paper. It's not easy to write. Then I got few papers from Jamyang as I did this one. It's very good, but then I need 165 meters means I need a lot of that paper, and a lot of paper that is not available. I went to our cottage industries there to look for one, but they are only good for making lampshades, but not for writing. You can't do anything. So then in Nepal, there is one place below Kapan Monastery, there is a Sherpa, Nimdo Sherpa. So I went to him and he said, because his father and forefathers, they used to make these papers for export to Tibet for writing kanjur. That is what I heard. And I went to him and I asked, I'm trying to do something like this, and can I see your papers? And he showed me these papers. And it's very good paper. That's the exact paper I want. But then since it's very long one, it's very expensive. So I said, you have to give me at a reduced cost, because I need to write about 200 meters long. So interestingly, he said, my forefathers used to manufacture paper for writing pecha. Okay? But then when it came to my time, nobody writes pecha on that. Everybody wants paper for decorative, for lampshade or for dairies or things like that. Nobody wants to write. For the first time in my life, I heard, I have somebody here telling me that you are going to write pecha on my paper, So he said, any amount of paper that you want, it's a presentation from me. And then this big bundle, 2 big bundles, he came with his bike and came to where I'm staying, and he said, yes, here are the papers. So I got the papers, the problem of the papers there. And then that's all. Then kept on writing. Of course, normally I don't write in the afternoon, because then if you make one spelling mistake, the whole page, you have to throw it away. One page you write and then stick it like this, and then you apply a kind of a cotton below it to strengthen it. And then by the time 6 months, then I said, let us do a measurement, and then we did a measurement, and it's 165. Oh, okay, the record is 150, so it's okay. So then we stopped, applied a few brocades here, a few brocades there, and then made a big box, rolled it up, and took it to New York, and that's how the whole record is. So your 2 questions answered? Anything? No. Oh, the state. You have to practice. Jang, sapada baya the jang means practice, yeah? You have to use so much of that jang that finally you throw that sa away, then you become chang. And then go straight like that. Yes? Let's get on. Let's see.
For calligraphy, I myself teach Tibetan to my children in the school. what I observed is all the artistic writing are in Ume so far. You mentioned that you find inconvenience in writing Ujin in an artistic way. My question is why it is inconvenient to write Ujin in an artistic way? That's my first question. Second question, I'd like to explain ask in Tibetan. Tanda chidun drame ki kuba ji te nganto samala kalsore tena son ane tange thoya la chidun drame ki shabla ane phi tina doa di tangana so number sanje ki chela ane chukunjo di sa chishu sura chizun drama kalsore kunjo roche ta ine chukunjo di kadu ine ola shagyo mares chukunjo di thul shawres kansananga zo chogaru jimbi ine kalsore chuding thul sha kudi ola shagirwa ta tanda chidi tati ta yigi jimbi ine ya tati chukunjo zigorwa chezandi Shabki wala, shabla, any yigit Pitia dia, the Tindigatonea, Tunguyana manas can shine to
English style, shaking the English style. I knew it was not easy when I first started doing that in our tradition. Because there will be a lot of objections, like as you said, the shop and all that, why it is written here, why it is not written there, and what kind of scripture has to be written here and there. There are a lot of objections also. And since nobody has done it before, I was the first one doing it. And I was venturing into a kind of unknown destination, doing something like this. So in our highly cultured, traditional society, sometimes I know it's not very easy. So I was very clever. What I did was the first thing that I wrote, I took it to His Holiness Dalai Lama and I showed him. His Holiness saw this. And then His Holiness, and then I explained to him like this. And His Holiness said, this is very good. So I said, now once I got certificate from His Holiness, it's okay, then I don't care about anything. That's the kind of thing. Then, of course, I took it to Kyabje Sewa Rinpoche also, and Siddha Rinpoche also, to many of the spiritual masters and everybody. Gyala, what I'm basically saying is that if you have listened to me properly, what I'm trying to say is that from the Thanga, from the statues concept, I came down to the scripture. When it came down the scripture, there is no body out. There is no shop, there is no nothing. It's only the script, it's only the prayer that you see within that, in any part of the body that, But otherwise, then you have to think the body and the head and all these things. And, this one is more precious than the other. A lot of complications. So the scripture only, when you visualize this, you only see the scripture part and forget about the part of the body that you are mentioning. And that was my idea. I'm sorry, but it may have some reason that you are saying, and I'll certainly think about this. Other thing is, I'm not saying that Kyuk is the only one where art is possible, the others are not, others are sacred, please don't touch. No, please don't make mistake. It's free. Anybody can do anything artistically, as long as the sanctity of the script is preserved, as long as the sanctity of the Dharma is preserved. And then the things that I am doing are only complementing to the preservation of Buddhism, only complementing the meditative process. That when you sit down, when you write this, you have to be in a certain kind of shamatha position, shine, come down, write, and for 1 hour if you write, you are come down. For second day, third day, that's how you practice meditation. So what I'm doing is complementing the already rich tradition that we have got. Buddhism and the wisdoms that we are talking about is like an ocean. It's so deep, so wide. Forget about reaching the ocean. I'm still walking on the beach trying to find which side is the ocean. You see, it's so rich. But then I know I'm on the right direction. Somewhere I'll find that ocean. So therefore, even exploring Uchen into the calligraphy art is also a possibility. Anybody can do it. Tuksa, anybody can do it. There's no restriction as such. But again, if you see, one thing that you'll realize is that I'm not a painter, I'm a calligrapher. Okay? So if you use a lot of beautiful ink, colorful inks in the Uchen, writing here and there, just like the Islamic calligraphy does. Islamic, they have that, With the same kind of brush they use, colorful, expressing their Allah in different manners. I have not done that because I believe I'm a calligraphy trying to reach or beat even the level of the Chinese or the Japanese art. So I'm on that direction. The other directions are not closed, open. So what Gyala suggests is also a possibility. Welcome. Next time maybe we can see an exhibition here with Uchen, somebody else doing it. I can sit on the other side and ask some questions. Possibilities are there. Yes.
Okay, then our program will continue. I just want to tell you that this is very exciting, very interesting subject. In fact, I'm liking it also. I seek your suggestions. Can we keep these classes, extra classes, in this institute, not on a regular basis, maybe 2 days, 1 hour of the day, for this practice and training, whatever it is? Is it possible? Anyone interested? We will not go with the regular classes, say Friday afternoon and Saturday, or Thursday and Friday, 1 hours or 2 hours a day. You want to go for practice training? Are you interested? Because see, today it's not that you have seen and you have to close it. This has to continue now. Then only, like the benefit will be there, advantage will be there. Today, whatever we have seen with Mr. Jamyang, and from today onwards, if you forget, then the beauty of this project is not there again. So any interested, please let me know. NIT will provide the rooms, whatever it is, but I need teacher. So this is one. Secondly, that I see Mr. Jamyang, I think if I'm not mistaken, in my college life there was a poem by Wordsworth. He has said, miles to go before I sleep, miles to go before I sleep. So he has to go miles and miles and miles to invent more and more like this calligraphy for the benefit of the Buddhism and to all. And thirdly, just as a joke part, when you go to the, what you call that, when you write in the hand, no?
Tattoo.
Tattoo. I think you can form your name and message with a short letter and print in your hand. It looks very romantic also, it's very meaningful also. Okay, I'll just request Mr. Jamyang, can you write Pema, my name, in a very short form? Let's see. Let's be practical. So like that also you all can learn and write and tattoo.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So, yeah, the people, you may. Pata pe ma, pe ma.
Good. So it looks very romantic, also very interesting, also. Yeah, Pema. Then you want one more, Chiring. Suppose on the other side.
Okay, Satung Buse, Raki Guring a ring. Satung Buse, Raki Guring a ring. Sa, Jengbo Se, Sa, is it Sa, not Jengbo? Okay. Se, ring.
So how many Pemas and Chirings are here? So, anyways, these are the things. These are the things which you can learn also. So now you have to excuse me for some time. I have to go out for some urgent work. But this program will remain. There will be a tea break after some time. Then you will continue. You can seek anything from Mr. Jamyang. Okay. Thank you so much. We can see tomorrow also. We can meet tomorrow. It's at 1:30.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Is it okay? Take it down.
Good.